This is the first of 12 introductory videos that explore the main themes in my online open textbook, Teaching in a Digital Age. I'd like to thank the Commonwealth of Learning who've made the recording of these videos possible. And there's an interesting background story here. We originally intended to make these in Commonwealth of Learning Studio, but because of COVID-19, that wasn't possible. So I've recorded these at home using my laptop and the microphone and the camera on my regular laptop computer, and using Zoom to enable Commonwealth of Learning to do a little bit of post-editing as a result. Now, I know the videos would be much better if we used the professional facilities at Commonwealth of Learning, but I think there's also a good point here that technology now is relatively simple and fairly low cost for most of us to use in the ways that we want to. So anyway, without any further ado, let's look at what this particular opening video is about. The aim of the 12 videos is to give a brief introduction to the themes in the open textbook, which is available from this URL. I'll give you the URL again at the end. And I'm going to focus here particularly on the skills needed in a digital age. And I'm doing that right at the beginning. It's also at the beginning of the book, because I believe that teaching in the 21st century has to make sure that our students leave with the knowledge and skills that they're going to need. And I'm going to be arguing that that needs a change of teaching approach for many instructors from what we've done in what I would call an industrial age. What are 21st century skills? Well, as long ago as 1993, the Conference Board of Canada, the Business Board for Businesses in Canada, came up with these skills, and these won't be new to many of you. But I think there's a couple of points I want to make about these skills. First of all, you don't teach them separately. They need to be embedded in a subject area. So, for instance, problem solving has to be part of the actual curriculum around whatever subject area you're teaching. The second point I want to make is that students increasingly need to know how to use technology in whatever field they're going to be working in. They need to know about its strengths and about its weaknesses. And they also need to know that for how to use technology in their personal lives, such as social media, for instance, and how that works. So I think it's really important to increasingly embed digital learning skills or knowledge about how to use technology within each subject area. And I find it hard to think of a subject area where technology isn't relevant or important. And lastly, and most importantly, is the last skill, knowledge management. We know that we can't teach everything that there is to teach in a 4-year course or even an 8-year course in subjects like engineering and medicine, because the knowledge base is expanding more rapidly than we can teach it. And that means we have to equip students with the skills to knowledge management as it changes after they've left university, so they can continue to learn and can continue to keep up to date in what they're doing. And you'll see on the right a report from the Royal Bank of Canada. And I don't usually quote banks and what they are interested in when I teach, but this report is particularly relevant, and so I want to have a look at it now. What the Royal Bank of Canada did in 2018 was quite interesting. They did an analysis of all the LinkedIn job adverts and analyzed them for what kinds of skills that they were asking, or what kind of requirements employers were asking for the jobs of the future, as they put it. And they came up with 2 findings. The most important one was there will be lots of jobs in the future. This is just not the kind of jobs we got at the moment. So we need to train people for those new jobs and not necessarily for existing jobs. And the second thing is that we're not preparing people very well for this, either business or our educational institutions. And they listed, in terms of demand, the skills that employers listed here. And the very dark blue is the ones that were the most important. And you'll see that on the left-hand side, active listening, speaking skills, critical thinking skills, reading comprehension, and so on. Those are the type of skills that employers are looking for, and felt they weren't getting enough employees with these kinds of skills. Now, this isn't just about putting employers' needs first. Another important finding from the Royal Bank was that people need skills that they call transversal skills that allow them to move from one job to another. The obvious example here is good communication skills. So if your job disappears, but you've still got very good communication skills, that will carry over to a new employer. So it wasn't just about meeting employers' needs. And the other thing is that we need to empower learners to manage their own lives by controlling everyday technology as well as for work. So it's not just about being employer driven, although of course we want our students to have jobs to go to when they leave. Now, one of the things that we do know a lot about skills development, but I'm going to make two main points here. I make a distinction between content, which I describe as facts, ideas, principles, and so on, that's knowing, and skills, which is understanding, analyzing, evaluating, applying, and doing. Now, you need both. You can't be a skilled critical thinker. Generally, you have to be a good critical thinker in, say, business or in medicine and so on. So they're both necessary, but in the past, we've given much more emphasis to content. After all, most university professors are content experts. That's where their specialty lies. But I think we need to shift the balance a bit more in the future and focus particularly on a conscious attempt to develop skills. Now, we know a lot about how to teach skills, interestingly, often from sports or apprenticeship, but often the technique works just as well for intellectual skills. So first of all, as I said, it has to be context specific. Problem solving in business is different from problem solving in medicine in two ways. First of all, the content base is obviously different, so that's important, but also the approach to problem solving is different. In medicine, problem solving tends to be risk averse, do no harm. Whereas in business, if you don't take a certain amount of risk, you're not going to probably be a successful businessman. So the approach to problem solving is somewhat context specific. Although I'm sure a good problem solver in medicine would also learn quickly how to become a good problem solver in business as well. Secondly, we know that learners need a lot of practice. And this is where the technology can come in useful, because it can enable students to practice certain skills without necessarily having the instructor there all the time. The third thing is that usually you need small steps initially, and then bigger steps as students get more confident and have more experience in the skill. And lastly, and very importantly, you need regular feedback from an expert to show you where you're going wrong, to help you improve and so on. And the other important point about skills is that I make a distinction between skills and competencies. A competency is something you need for a specific task or purpose. So an employer might say, we need somebody who can do project management. Consider that a competency. They know how to do project management very well. And a competency is assessed at, say, 100%. We want to get everybody able to do this, and they must be able to do it expertly. Well, skills are somewhat different. They're developmental. They build up over time and practice, and they can be for a lifetime. And the example I like to give is professional sports people like Serena Williams or Roger Federer, who are probably playing well beyond their best date, but because they've been accumulating skills so long, they keep winning, even though they don't have the physical peak that other athletes have in the same sport. Now, there's a special role for technology in skills development. Students need to learn digitally if they're going to earn digitally. They must feel comfortable in the digital world. And so that means living and working virtually, but also knowing what the importance is of face-to-face contact and communication. But digital technology can provide practice and feedback to some extent, but it can't provide that extra level of expertise that you need to be really good at something. So students need to know the strengths and limitations of digital technologies. And I go into later chapters that provide teaching methods that are particularly good for skills development. For certain kinds of skills, certain kinds of teaching methods work better than others. And one of the things that comes out very clearly from the book is that lectures have a limited capacity for skills development. It's not that they can't develop some skills, but it's not necessarily the best way to really develop skills. Now, there's more information in this, in the book, of course. You can find that mainly in chapter 1 of the book, and it's available from this URL. And the next video is going to be about deciding on the right mix of face-to-face and online learning. So thank you very much, and I look forward to talking to you in the next video.